cocktails like notoriously slow and confusing. As a consumer, I was always really interested in food and drink, but never really got cocktails. I think I drunk lots of cocktails, but didn't understand the history, the complexity, the detail, the variety on the menu. I couldn't look at a menu and understand exactly what's going on. And I think it was quite telling that I felt like I was someone who knew the industry or knew hospitality relatively well, but even I didn't know much about drinks, and it felt like something I wanted to understand better. And it felt like we had an opportunity, if we got it all right, that actually consumers could be brought into this story much better by a concept that didn't alienate them and didn't confuse them.
Yeah, I think the one thing I do know about cocktails is a very good one from a very bad one.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I would say, is that when you're having a cocktail out, you can tell quite a crap pre-made one. It's either really sugary or it's quite syrupy and sticky. Whereas when it's made fresh, and especially in front of you in a nice bar, a good cocktail really sets the tone for an evening.
Yeah, well, I love that thought.
Before we get into today's episode, I want to give a shout out to a special sponsor, Sam Lawrence Recruitment. We all know that finding the right people or the right job can feel really overwhelming, and that's exactly where Sam comes in. He really just gets it. It's not just about ticking boxes, it's about connecting the right people with the right opportunities. He takes the time to understand you and exactly what you're looking for, whether you're building a team or taking that next career leap. So definitely get in touch. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. Charlie is a 3-time founding member of Startup Brands, taking each from 0 to 1 million within 18 months. Across different categories, channels and countries, including launching operations in the US and Australia. He is now the founder of Plug-in Brands, an award-winning outsourced FMCG sales agency working with the fast-growth food and drink brands, and Dive-In Agency, a TikTok shop agency helping brands turn social commerce into real revenue. With a background in go-to-market strategy, brand development and distribution through retail and wholesale channels, there isn't anyone better placed to help you supercharge your brand. Charlie and the Plug-in Brands team work with a host of brands, including Moju, Muller, Clipper Tea, Who Gives a Crap, and Lovecorn. So if you're in need of an extra pair of hands to really step on your growth this year, Charlie is the guy you need to be in touch with. Getting to Grow is also brought to you by the Coconut Collab. And full disclosure, as I'm sure most of you are aware, I work there, so I know how much love goes into everything that we make. We're all about creating delicious, dairy-free, plant-based treats that do not compromise on taste. From our creamy yogurts to our indulgent desserts, everything's made with coconuts and a whole lot of care. If you're looking for something naturally good but seriously tasty, and my favourite is just our natural coconut yogurt, I have it most mornings with granola and lots of honey. Trust me, you're going to absolutely love it. Welcome back to another episode of Getting to Grow. On this week's episode, we have Kuleen Khimasia, who is the co-founder of Black Lines. Now, they do such an amazing range, which they have very kindly brought loads to show you guys today. But I actually first was introduced to them when I was invited to your Oatlog launch at the Rixo Bar in Chelsea, which was amazing. And actually I was living with a housemate at the time, and we literally came home with 4 bottles and drank them all. We loved them. But I'm very excited. Margarita is my thing. That is my go-to drink ever, so I'm very excited to try this later. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about you?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Kuleen. You mentioned co-founder of Black Lines. I have been running Black Lines for 7.5 years now. It started actually 8.5 years ago. My business partner started the business, but I'm proudly co-founder as well.
Yeah.
A bit about me. I started out my career in sort of consultancy, I guess, for a tiny bit, and then into starting my own street food business, and then very much fell into drinks, but I love it.
And how did you meet, what was the gentleman that started it?
Casey.
Sorry? How did you meet him?
I slid into his DMs.
Oh.
I was running a street food business for a year and a half, straight out of university. I was on my own, and kind of the idea was to open a restaurant, and then ideally, a chain of restaurants in the future.
Yeah.
And got to this point where I had everything set up to open a restaurant. I worked with the build guys and the interior design team, and we were going to rebrand a bit, and I had no idea how to run a bar. So I was like, I've done the food for a year and a half. I've got a good idea of what I'm doing there, but no idea how to deliver drinks. I obviously need a good offer. So I started looking at pre-batched or some solution basically for cocktails, and found Casey on Instagram doing a little one-man band job, and went for a coffee with him. And I just, I think I catfished him a bit. I basically messaged him from my street food business account, and he thought I was opening a restaurant, wanted his cocktails. That was kind of the premise I thought as well. But I was falling about. I'd love opening a restaurant. I was on my own. Like, had no idea really how to do it. It felt a really big step, very capital intensive. So I guess in the midst of all this thinking, I was like, this pre-batch cocktail thing looks quite cool. Never seen it before. Aperol spritz out of a tap. Like, surely that's got some legs. We went for a coffee at the Ace Hotel, and I just said to him, like, straight up, I was like, I'm really sorry, like, I don't want cocktails in my restaurant, but really like what you're doing, just like checking and see how you're getting on. And he said, okay, fine. And we sat for like an hour and a half. He had a coffee, obviously I didn't, and a glass of water, and just chatted about where he was at. And he was kind of a year in, had set up this amazing foundation of a business. His whole background was in drinks. He was group bar manager at Soho House before he started the business, and it just felt like there was a really natural fit there. He was kind of looking for what the next step was going to be. I think he needed some support commercially and strategically, and that's what I love basically doing. So I just said to him, give me half the business and I'll join you and we'll do it together. It took him 2 months to say yes, and then he did. Clearly not a good negotiator, but it's been 7.5 years since.
Amazing. So it wasn't kind of like linear in terms of how you got into F&B at all. And also, like, I love that you were straight in, like, I can see this is going to go somewhere, but I want half the business. So you were very, like, targeted in what
I felt like it had some value. So
yeah.
I think at that point in time, and it felt always the right thing, I think it's good to have two co-founders. I think it's really important to have
definitely
like difference of opinions and difference of backgrounds. We're like very different people as well, but obviously get on super well. And it just, it seemed like there was a really good match-up of skills. He's incredible what he does. I definitely wanted to get in on that, so...
Yeah, I also think it's really important to have, like, your yin and your yang when you're a co-founder. Like, you need the differences of opinion, you need someone to, like, bounce off. And also with you getting, like, half the business, I think that's also really important because it means that you've also got skin in the game, so you're going to work just as hard.
Yeah, that's it. We're both, like, fully committed.
Yeah.
And we don't like to run a business where we kind of work ourselves into the ground, but I think it's so good to have two people that are, like, pulling in the same direction, even if they've got different skills
Definitely.
and mindset.
And if you could kind of like sum up your why in terms of why you're doing what you're doing, what would you say?
I think like starting a business has always been on the cards. It's what I always wanted to do. I always felt my dad, because I kind of moved over from Kenya when he was like 19 and was an accountant and consultant and then started his own businesses basically. And when I was younger, it was always like before going to bed, it was like, what have you been doing today? Like, what are you working on? And I think I just got the bug then. It was kind of that bit that was like, you can do it, why couldn't I do it? He did it. I've learned all about these little bits and bobs, and just felt supernatural that I would do a similar thing. I love doing like a variety of different bits as well. I've never been someone to like focus on one thing, so I think it felt really natural to start a business. And then after university it was just like, how do I do it? What's the first one going to be? How do I get stuck into something? And then it just kind of rolled from there.
So it ran in the blood.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was just that like attitude to say like, if someone can do it, why can't I do it? Which definitely he taught me.
Definitely, and I think that's actually an interesting point. I think I was speaking earlier on podcast I recorded, and we were talking about how like teaching that entrepreneurial like action kind of value is really difficult to teach. You sort of either have it or you don't when it comes to the why you work for a business. I think when you're in a corporate, it's maybe something you could potentially like, you know, you hide behind, you're a cog. Whereas when you're like you and me, and I'm similar to the sense of you, like we are very invested, like we want it, we're kind of doers in the business. And that's kind of a big fat sign of an entrepreneurial like person. Back in 2017, when like draft cocktails kind of weren't really mainstream, what made you believe this was going to be like the next big shift in hospitality?
I think it was as a consumer. So Casey's business background is like in bars, in drinks. He could see the solution. For me, you know, there was definitely like an understanding of what the solution could be for bars. I hadn't really run bars or been in bars before, but you know, I could see that it could be a massive benefit. And cocktails like notoriously slow and confusing. As a consumer, I was like, I was always really interested in food and drink, but never really like got cocktails. I think I drunk lots of cocktails, but didn't understand like the history, the complexity, the detail, like the variety on the menu. I couldn't look at a menu and understand exactly what was going on. And I think it was quite telling that like I felt like I was someone who knew the industry or like knew hospitality relatively well, but even I didn't know much about drinks, and it felt like something I wanted to understand better. And it felt like we had an opportunity, if we got it all right, that actually consumers could be brought into this story much better by like a concept that didn't alienate them and didn't confuse them. but actually made great cocktails, like really accessible in like at home as well as in great venues. And I think, yeah, for me, I saw the kind of solution because Casey was already doing some business, and I could see appetite for it in the right places, and there was definitely like commercial opportunity. There was enough margin. I think we can make enough margin to make it make sense as a business and still deliver great cocktails for venues. But yeah, I guess from a consumer perspective, it felt like there was an opportunity to go and change the space. I think a lot of people feel the same way I did at the time, which is that cocktails are like confusing and expensive and intimidating and can be kind of stuffy. So
yeah, I think the one thing I do know about cocktails is, a very good one from a very bad one.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing I would say is that when you're having a cocktail out, you can tell like quite a crap pre-made one. Like it's either really sugary or it's like quite syrupy and sticky. Whereas when it's made fresh, and especially in front of you in like a nice bar, a good cocktail really like sets the tone for an evening.
Yeah, definitely.
So like and it's also how sometimes you start your evening, right? Like I'll start on a cocktail. I wouldn't drink cocktails throughout dinner, really.
Yeah.
It's something you have before and after, and then drink wine or whatever throughout. So it kind of sets the beginning and it sets the end. So it's a really nice, you need to have a good cocktail, in my opinion, to have a good evening.
Yeah, well, I love that thought. I think the reality as well is that you can go to an amazing cocktail bar and get a great cocktail. We love that. We love the theatre of it as a business. Like we like really support that side of things. But I think there's like a group of restaurants, bars, hospitality venues where you're not going somewhere where they've got an amazing mixologist who's spent like 10 years behind the bar and is going to make you something really creative and it's going to be worth your money. You're going to venues often that are like great pubs or great restaurants and bars that are there for vibe and experience, not for like a bow tie and a 14, 15 pound cocktail. And actually you still want a great liquid in those environments.
Definitely.
And that's where we're definitely not a kind of a volume player. We're not here to like tick off Wetherspoons, but we want to be like anywhere you don't have an amazing cocktail bartender, we want to be there to deliver that liquid and that experience in venues that need it.
So did you start in like kind of draft, like bigger formats, and then you've gone into bottles selling to retail or D2C?
We started with draft, so draft was kind of our bread and butter. It's what Casey was working on at Soho House Group before we started the business. He was kind of working on like a pre-batch offering for...
So is he at Soho House?
Yeah, he was group bar manager at Soho House before he started the
Amazing.
business. And he basically spent like 5 years working on a pre-batch offer on the rooftop of Shoreditch House that went from a jugs bar, so just like mixing the syrups together, topping with soda, over like that's year one. And then I think year 5 was like putting it into corny kegs. These are like refillable kegs, charging with CO2 behind the bar to get carbonation and pouring out the taps on like the Shoreditch House rooftop. And it worked. Like it wasn't a consistent way of doing things. You had like not a great environment for doing like actual pre-batching. And carbonating like that's not very effective basically. But like he could see the solution of like a cocktail in a keg come out the tap and delivering great quality and consistency working. So when he left the business, that was the kind of idea, was to do draft cocktails, but do them properly, look at the best breweries, distilleries, wineries, take lessons. There wasn't like a great pre-batch cocktail business at the time at all. There was no precedent of it. So there was nowhere to go and look and kind of like get tips from or emulate. So I was like, yeah, look at all these different places. What do I need to make an amazing cocktail? How do I start doing that? And it started off with, I think it was Aperol Spritz and Negroni when he first started, when I met him. And we had like a mojito on the go at some point as well. And we've worked on lots of different products, but that first bit, the first 3 years was, let's make draft cocktails, but like as good as we can make them. Let's go challenge them. Let's put them into venues that are going to say no to us and just like prove that they're going to work. So the Standard Hotel we've worked with now for like 6-7 years. We put a Negroni on tap into Harrah's Dining Hall. And the whole idea was like, let's test ourselves with bartenders who are going to say no, this is weird and disgusting, so that we make the products like properly impressive, and then they can work anywhere. And that was always the priority. Actually, when I first met Casey, one of the first things I said to him was like, we need to rebrand this business. The draft side could have been an amazing B2B offering, but it was never going to like touch consumers really, having nothing to take home, nothing to buy off the shelves. So we were always working towards like, what does a consumer facing product look like? And the idea was bottles. And we had this nice brand that Casey had built with an agency, really lovely looking, premium. It did everything it needed to do for us from a B2B perspective, but didn't tell like a really exciting, forward-thinking story. I think when you look at that offer, it's like, we can change cocktails. So why does our brand look like an old gym brand? And we basically pulled like the first year me and Kate started working together, we changed a lot of things. There's some really easy fixes for me. I think it was kind of I could show value really quick. We basically negotiated prices, like cost down with all of our suppliers, up to all our prices because there just wasn't enough margin at the time, and had a good summer. I did all the sales with Casey, and we just had a really good summer. And like our first year working together, we were really profitable, and we just poured all that profit back into working with an agency to basically build a new brand for the business. Spent a year working with them, and then that bottle story was always going to come with it. We didn't feel like it was going to come that quick because like the market wasn't necessarily that ready for a bottled cocktail. We started trialing them in the Standard, like the Library in the Standard Hotel, in 2019, end of 2019, when we first launched Black Lines, and luckily we had the bottles because COVID hit in March 2020. All our bars closed, all the draft taps stopped, and the bottles were like fair game. Had to start and get going with them.
And where did the name Black Lines come from?
So it's the name of one of the first pieces of abstract art by a guy called Kandinsky.
Okay.
The idea behind the brand was that we wanted to take cocktails forward. So like abstract art was this kind of idea. I think like obviously craft beer has always been surrounded by a kind of art and illustration and creativity. We felt like we wanted to bring that same creativity into cocktails and like real identity. So we worked with lots of artists, but the idea was to take cocktails to a new ground, like abstract art did in the art world. So we kind of attached ourselves to this painting, Black Lines, and each drink has its own illustrator artist attached to it. And it's been lovely to work with it. I think it gives the brand lots of kind of interesting feeling, and
it's really cool. It really stands out. Like it's really unique and different. I appreciate that. I really, really like it. And what's one unique insight that you had about the cocktail industry that maybe others have overlooked? Because there are like loads and loads of players now when it comes to like bottled cocktails.
I think me and Casey are both like pretty neurotic when it comes to like what we put into the world. The team are the same. Like we have the same attitude and approach, whether it's in the production team, the sales team, marketing team. Like we want to deliver like things we're really proud of, and I think we wouldn't be doing this now if we weren't thinking that way. We've had opportunities to look at really big volume plays and deliver something that is cheap and effective, but that's not how we see this movement. And I think there are lots of players in our market now, loads more than when we started, obviously, who are going to fill holes and do good things. And I think there's also a lot that's done really badly, and it gives pre-batch cocktails, unfortunately, still like a pretty tainted name. For us, it's just always been about delivering product that I want to take to my mate's house and drink with loads of pride. I want to have my friends pouring it at their wedding. I want to go to like my favourite bar and have it and be really proud of what we're making. And I think if like we're relatively clear that if we stick with that, and if we make sure that everything we do fits that, like hits that same brief, and we never waver, then
that's your North Star.
Yeah. That's it. We want to do cocktails like amazingly well.
Yeah.
We want to be like, the answer to cocktails in the future. I think pre-batch is becoming more and more common everywhere. I don't know why it hasn't been in the past, but cocktail world's changing, and we'd love to be like a leader in that charge, to say like you can have a pre-batch cocktail that doesn't taste shit. Yeah,
basically. And you mentioned that you're getting married next week, which is really exciting.
Yeah, very exciting.
So what cocktails do you have on offer?
We're going to have some. We actually can't do the cocktails in the UK wedding, which is a heartbreak. We're going to have some for the afters because there's corkage and all that stuff. But it's a very small wedding, wedding in the UK. But we're getting married in Kenya.
Amazing.
In October, and actually that's where the cocktails are going to be a big priority.
Are you like changing any of their names to like work with your wife?
That's not really my vibe.
Okay.
So we're going to keep it relatively classic.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll get one cocktail in her name. But it's going to be our first bit of export, actually.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah, weird way to do export for the first time for your own wedding.
But also like really good insight.
Good insight, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, you're the first customer of your own product.
That's the one. So I'm getting a bit of trouble for being a bit slow on it, but my next job is to try and export some cocktails to Kenya.
Yeah, amazing. And with the with that, and like you mentioned about export, is that actually something that's maybe like on the cards for you guys in terms of like getting it just like outside the UK?
I think it's always like interesting to look at. There's obviously opportunity outside the UK and lots of it. We've been so focused on what is like just one market, but we're really clear that export is not kind of the story for us just yet. I think we've got so much to aim at in the UK. We've got so much good work to do. We want to build our name here really, and then like then export comes easy, and we've got so much. We always feel like we've got so much more to do, but I think there is like lots of stones.
Still lots of white space to go after.
Yeah. That's what's really exciting for us.
Yeah, definitely. And we touched a little bit on COVID in 2020 now when it happened. And how was that for you? So obviously, luckily, you had the bottles, right?
Yeah.
So was your website like up and ready for kind of that traffic?
Was it March 20th or something? COVID?
March 20, yeah, something like that.
I think we had the website live by like 7th of April. Bottles. We had like fulfillment with DPDs set up, got premises license.
So lucky.
It was quite funny. Poor Casey had to do like all of it because obviously he was the one like close to the stock. We were all dotted around like the UK, I guess, in the team. There were 5 of us at the time, and yeah, we just all worked as hard as we could to get everything live as quickly as possible. Luckily, had some stock, and then we like started producing bottles from then like more consistently. But we were designing labels. Like some of the labels still stand today, and actually I brought the Spice Tommy's Margarita and the Negroni labels. They were designed in like April 2020 in the midst of COVID.
Really?
Yeah, Jake, our designer, was at home in Brighton. I was in Surrey, Casey in Bethnal Green, and we were just like sat on calls designing labels, and like I I hate them now.
Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
I've hated them for a long time. Just because we had to smash them together so quick, and I think I stare at them and see mistakes.
Okay, fine.
Not like spelling mistakes or anything. I just feel like we could have been sharper in our design approach. But they've stood the test of time for now. We're working on a bit of a new brand.
Jamie
Muck, that's the one, the illustrator. Yeah.
I guess you can change that though, can't you? Like you can always put in for a new.
Do you know what? It's so much harder. I remember sitting there thinking, like, I said to the guys, like, we had loads of umming and ahhing about what the label should look like, what's the final design going to be. I said to the guys, like, we need to just wait one more day because it seems like it's going to be really easy to change it in a year. The moment the products go out, we start launching new products, like, all has to follow the same design like aesthetic, and then suddenly you've got 8 products or 6 products that all have to change.
Right. Okay.
And it took us a long time actually to get confident enough to say new products are going to have a new design. So we've got like the Aperitivo Spritz, the Paloma, that are like a kind of a new design style completely. They look a bit different. But yeah, that COVID piece was really interesting. We worked really hard to get everything live. We kind of kept the whole team on. We made sure that we were as active as possible through that period. Obviously had suddenly no revenue, so we started having to build up new ways to find revenue. It was, how do we deliver to people's homes? The first batch of orders, we had loads of orders from our friends in the first week, and we sent them all out in wholesale boxes with DPD, and we were like rubbing our hands together like we've done something, we've got it going, and then half the boxes smashed on the way, because how stupid were we not to think about that they might be tossing boxes into the back of vans, and we needed better packaging. So it was like this really exciting moment of getting out of the mud, and then we were straight back in it. But it was loads of fixes. I loved it. It was.
I was going to say, it's how you test and learn in those days, and actually those mistakes you made early, thank God you made them then, versus en route to a fat drop of Tesco where they all smashed en route. Like, you know what I mean? It's like at least you found out small problems then that you can change quickly.
100%. But it was really difficult. Obviously, like when it happened, it felt really confusing. But it was an opportunity for us, and actually what came out of it was that suddenly pre-batch cocktails were on people's radar. You had like the best bars in London or across the UK making bottled cocktails because that was the only offer they had. Consumers were drinking cocktails at home way more than they ever had before.
Definitely.
Suddenly a bottled cocktail felt like really natural.
Yeah.
And we had an opportunity to just say, like, we've got no revenue, we've got no opportunity here with the draft. We have to just sit and wait on that one. But there's time to spend the next year or whatever this might look like launching all the bottles. So we just went and we just launched bottle after bottle, got the full range that we had on draft into bottle, came out of COVID with like 8 draft products, 8 bottle products, suddenly like a properly mature offer. In theory it was horrible, but in reality I think it was such a important learning period, and we actually, we had a great time doing it. I think we were a really small team, we still are a small team, but everyone was just committed to making things happen.
Yeah, get shit done. Yeah. I think that's the difference between like a small business versus like a big business. Like everybody's just so action driven. We're like, right, this has got to happen by tomorrow at 12. It's getting done.
Yeah.
And what metric do you watch most closely now when it comes to like your business? Is it kind of speed of serve? Is it like customer feedback? Like margin, sustainability, and all those things? What do you like look at as like your biggest metric?
I guess it's a real cop out, but I think we're really focused on like the full picture. I think for me, like the financials have to stack up always. We haven't like raised any investment since we started, so like this business has been about like delivering proper products at the right price with the right cost base, so that we can continue to grow the business and continue to adapt and like build out new things. We can't make like really big mistakes really anywhere along the way, and that's so like I'm always watching the numbers, and I think it makes us really effective at what we do, because we have to be super efficient. We can't, there's no big pot of money to kind of just fall back into when we make mistakes.
But how has investment worked? Have you got external investment, or
we haven't? No.
So it's all self-funded at the moment?
Yeah, it's all funded from like profit from like previous year goes back into the business, and we reinvest. It means that we're like always really tight. Like the business is running really tightly in terms of cash and things, but like, we're good at managing it.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I said, I think it promotes better decision making. I think it makes us like leaner and more efficient. We know like when we're growing with purpose. And, I think there'll come a time, I'm sure, like maybe soon, where we want to sort of accelerate it a little bit faster. But we would never want to take money and suddenly become like a massively loss-making business. We want to deliver like a proper business.
Yeah, I think that's really key. I think, you know, when you are in the early stages, your money is, you're not sitting on a big pot of cash where it's like you can dip in and dip out. You are looking at things where you are on tight margins. You are a really lean team.
Yeah.
But actually, I think what that does is it gives you, you're super laser focused.
Yeah.
You can't go willy-nilly, oh, let's try this. You're like, no, I need this to return, so this is where I'm putting my effort in, which has like obviously sometimes bigger benefits of coming out, because you've been, I need to achieve this.
Yeah, 100%. I think it makes you like question every,
even
like a small decision.
Definitely.
Is it worthwhile? Is it what's going to deliver for us? So.
And what would you say has been your biggest high to date and your biggest low?
Biggest high?
Yeah.
I'll start with the biggest low. To be fair, like I don't really look back and think about too many lows. We've worked through everything we've had like kind of come at us, and I always look back on it with kind of a rose tinted view, because it's exciting, it's the next thing, and then we've learned from things. But I think we had a time in COVID in August 2020 where basically we had worked with one exclusive distributor before COVID, and they were great, like did a really good job for us. One of the biggest like craft brewery partners in the UK, and we're delivering to like amazing restaurants and bars, and it felt a great fit. We said we'll put everything through you, and August 2020 came, and it was like the first time I got on holiday, obviously because it was COVID, but I got away to France with my partner's family, and like just about to set my out of office, and I get an email, and it's like the distributor who basically owed us like 45 grand, which at the time was like a huge amount of money. It was like a fifth of our revenue at the time. Had gone into administration, and I was like, right, need to sort of deal with this. All of our stock was with them, or they had a load of our stock. They had 40k of debt we were not going to be getting back, and we had no way to like deliver to our customers at the time. So I was in France. I was like, it's not really the moment for this. But
do you mind? Can I just quickly finish like topping up my tan, then I'll look back at this?
Honestly, well, Casey, I had no way to even help with sorting stuff out, and it was really difficult to get back at the time. We were in the Alps. So Casey and Morgan, our team, who was one of our kind of earliest team members, just hired a zip van. Luckily, we'd been really clear with our distributor that we need to know exactly who's buying, what date, like when, which stock. So we had a full list of our customers. We're really hands-on with our customers as well. So we knew who was taking what, and we just got in touch with every single one of them on that day. All the breweries were a bit stuffed because like none of them knew who was buying which beer. They just were selling to a distributor, and it was all going. But yeah, for us, we had these like reports every week. So we got in touch with all of them. Casey and Morgan then hired a zip van, filled it with kegs, and did like a full week of drops. And like from that moment on, we've delivered direct. From that first week, like we've delivered direct. We haven't missed any orders. We haven't had stock outages. It's been amazing since. But 40k just went in the.
You never got that back.
No, still sitting there. Maybe one day we'll get a.
Yeah.
We're not going to see it back now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough at the time.
So do you still deliver direct to every single customer now?
Yeah.
That's really like interesting, because that is usually how a lot of businesses start, because you know they need to build up want from wholesalers, etc., to then kind of get the listing to then grow. Does that not really eat into your margin, having to deliver to every single one direct?
Like as we've grown the business, we've just been really clear on like there are ways to deliver effectively with good service and at the right price, and we need to find them, and we need to like build them into our offer, and we need to make sure we build a warehouse and fulfillment team that can manage like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 different partners, so we can deliver nationwide. I think we have probably one of like, the lowest MOQs and fastest delivery setups across like the UK.
So do you own that distribution?
We work with loads of partners, but we have different partners for different needs, basically. So we've got a pallet delivery service, we've got a courier delivery service across the UK, we've got, like in London, we've got a team we work with that have 2 vans that deliver every, like 4 days a week for us, but on specific delivery days, it's basically our delivery service. We have, like for smaller sample deliveries, we use DPD, we've got like a London e-com fulfillment partner. So all our e-com, all our wholesale, everything goes out of our facility in Tottenham.
Okay, interesting. So, yeah, I mean, it's such a good way to have like hands-on like customer experience, because you then have direct relationships like constantly, and that's key. Yeah,
100%. And for us, you know, our product can be really seasonal. We might have like a Wembley customer, and like we don't want it to go for another party, because we get visibility of what's coming, or like what's working, what's going to come next. Suddenly you get a 50 grand order in and no one's warned you of it, or like, who's it from?
No idea. You don't know.
So yeah, we want to be really hands-on.
Also, I guess it helps you really manage stock quite well, because you're then, you know, if you know your customer, they're telling you maybe weeks out, right, we're going to have a big week this week, so you can go, okay, well, I can factor that in my supply chain, my Gantt chart, you know, get it all out. Whereas sometimes if you don't have that visibility, and, you know, my day job at Coconut Collab, we sometimes do have this issue, because we deliver to some, obviously, regional and national wholesalers, and we have a forecast from them, but we sometimes don't know if a big customer will just drop in 100 cases of something that we didn't plan for. So therefore, we don't have stock, and we aren't, because we're a chilled product, we don't have like, we can't sit on stock. We have to be quite like, right, well, we have to forecast very accurately, because we can't afford like constant wastage, obviously, like no business can. Whereas it's not like maybe a drink where you can sit on about, you know, sometimes a year in a bottle. That's delicious to have a year's shelf life.
I can't even imagine.
Sometimes I have like 30 days.
The chilled store, I think that would be like beyond. I wouldn't have a clue how to deal with that.
Yeah, it's just, you just have to be a lot more organised with stuff, and just like really be on your kind of your forecasting. But obviously, sometimes it really is out of your hands. You don't know.
100%.
And is there anything that keeps you up at night about your business?
Yeah, lots of things. I reckon the thing now, like that's most stressful, I suppose, is like we have 21 people in the team, so there's 21 salaries that like rely on the business to like make sure they're paid every month, and make sure like the team are like looked after. And I think like, not that we've got any real concerns at all, but it's just like we want to make sure that we're doing right by our team, and obviously making sure they're paid, but like outside of that too. And I think when you're building a business without too much money, like it can be a stress. That's always our priority, is to make sure our team's sorted, and we'll never let them down. But yeah, just, you know, want to make sure things continue in the same way, in the same vein, so that we can keep supporting that team.
And speaking of team, how do you go about kind of the hiring process, and what is your 21 members of your team at the moment? What are they made up of? Is it mainly sales? Is it mainly like distributors? Well, like in supply chain as such, or marketing?
We sort of like have a 50-50 split in the business. So half the team work from Tottenham, that's where the factory is, and that's kind of production, warehousing, operations, probably just a little bit over half. And then the commercial team, we work from Waterloo, and that is sales, marketing, like kind of front of house operations. And
do you own your own factory in Tottenham?
Yeah, it's our factory, yeah.
That's amazing as well, because like so many businesses have to outsource that because they can't afford their own like factory. So you built the factory?
Yeah, we did. We've been in Tottenham for like 7.5 years. When I first met Casey, we were in this tiny little, I don't know if you remember, like Wild Fizz kombucha.
Yeah.
Oh
my gosh, that is a throwback.
When I first met Casey, he rented like a tiny little room with a false ceiling, probably the size of this room, like with one tank. At the back of that, their kombucha brewery, and I met him and I was like, oh, like great, this is the room. And then we kind of bounced around from there. So there's a bottling plant around the corner from us. So we were there for a year in this little room. We needed more space. We found the bottling plant around the corner, and they had some space. So we moved in there for a year. Actually amazing. We got to see so many different products come through and watch their process. Like pick up a couple of people actually when they moved. Like we took up great people from that business. So we moved there, always around the same industrial estate basically, but kept moving like just bigger and bigger. And then in 2022, I think 2021, we actually went back into the same unit we'd been to start with Wild Fizz. But at that point we had half the unit and they had half the unit. They closed their business, unfortunately. Meant that we took the whole unit. Suddenly we had this like 4,000 square foot unit from being in a little room in the front and the back. But built that, and that was like kind of office, warehouse, production at the back, warehouse in the middle. Outgrew that at some point, and the unit 2 doors down came available. So we took that unit, rebuilt the production facility, stripped the whole thing, like put all new flooring in, new kit, and that was then full production. We had a warehouse and office 2 doors down, and then suddenly that warehouse started to get quite full, so we've got another storage unit around the corner. So yeah, just like we've just slowly built it up.
And how lucky to have that like full ownership of your site, you know, because
and process as well.
Yeah, for sure, because that is something that if you know something goes wrong, you can get there very quickly. You know, our factories with coconut, they're not easily accessible.
Yeah.
So if something does go wrong, you know, it's not necessarily as easy to pop there. You have to kind of really think about your journey. So for you guys to have that hands-on, like, right, well, I'll be there in an hour, I'll be there in 2 seconds, I'll walk across the room from the office is really, really special.
Oh, we love it. I think we've outsourced once in our 8 years, and it was fine. We sent product to be bottled, and we knew the bottling plant we were working with actually, and we knew what the quality was going to be like, but actually it just wasn't like what came back wasn't what we were expecting. The product sat for too long beforehand, like the labels weren't all straight and silly things like that. But like we were really meticulous about things, and it just was like, you're doing what we prefer to do things. Sorry about the order. Prefer to do things ourselves, because we want to control things. We want to make sure this product is as we expect it to be every time. It's bloody hard, to be fair, but we just, like we said, let's take it one step at a time. And you know, you have to jump through a lot more hoops. You have to get your own SALS accreditation. You have to get your own like food safety and hygiene. You have to learn all that stuff, because you can't just go to a factory that's made like bottled anything.
Of course, forever. You got to learn all the kind of extra bits that you can outsource.
Yeah, and it takes more time, but at the end of the day, we've got a team that are like way more clued in, I think, than most. I'm biased, but we have a team that understand what they're doing, like from start to finish. Across the board. It's lovely. Like, we're also super agile. When we launch a new product, the development happens in the lab, in the factory. So like, we can work on stuff, we can tweak our products, we taste the spice orange margarita for like a 2-3 year period, and suddenly we're like, do you know what, actually we can make it better. We found a new lime juice supplier, we found a new spirit partner, we can tweak this in a few months rather than going to a partner and refixing a recipe and maybe not having ownership of that whole process. And
sourcing of the alcohol, does it come from all over the world?
Yeah, so we used to only work with, well, we try to work with British independent distilleries as far as possible. Obviously, there are some products we use that aren't made in Britain. So
you can't get tequila, literally.
Yeah, tequila's a big one. We get our vermouth in from Spain, wine from France. So yeah, more so like across the globe now. The important things for us with our partners are that they have the same like mindset, ethos that we do, that they're producing sustainably and like incredible product wherever we can find it. Basically, that's going to like really define how we build products. If we can't find the right liquid for the product, we'll just park it. The old fashioned's an example. Like, we were looking at it for 8 years now, launching an old fashioned. We actually got really close this year, and it's kind of all fallen away. But that's another story. But you know, whiskey's super hard to get it right, to get the right quality of liquid, to get the right like solution that we can get in bulk. We've spoken to lots of Scottish distilleries that just can't send us whiskey in bulk because it has to be bottled in whiskey in Scotland rather to be called like Scotch whiskey. So yeah, there's lots of complexity, but we source at the minute from across the world.
Yeah, and then of course I'm sure like importing alcohol comes with its own like issues and things like that, because you can't just import alcohol, can you?
No. Well, again, like you just you learn as you go. Yeah. Suddenly you need to import alcohol, and you call around and work out who's doing it and how you're supposed to do it, and you get your accreditation and you do all that stuff. But Casey's amazing, to be fair, at like that really fun detail that I don't want to get
that's my worst nightmare. When it comes to hiring, and you were speaking about your team, what's one trait that you look for?
Actually, Tara was like talking to me about it. She read the question talking about it yesterday, and she's like, I know what you're going to say. It's hungry, which makes me sound so cringe. No, it's not. Like, I think we just want people that are like eager and excited to get stuck in and to learn and grow, and we don't feel that anyone has any limitations. So we want to open up an opportunity to say, like, if you think you can come make a difference here and do something really great and obviously fill a hole that we need filled too, we want to have you on board, and we want to have you driving things forward.
Definitely.
So yeah, definitely that.
And with the kind of future of the brand, do you see it as a household name, like going forward, like a forever brand that's here to stay, or do you have like an exit strategy in 5, 10, 15 years, whatever it might be, or is this it's going to be passed down to the kids?
It's funny, when I first started the business, when I first joined Casey, I put this kind of strategy together, and it was the classic startup strategy of like run it for 5 years, flip it, move on, go and like buy a house in the Bahamas. We didn't keep to that at all. The idea was like, prove concept and raise money.
New Cross, Bahamas.
Yeah, well, New Cross is a little 2-bed flat, but it's doing all right.
Yeah.
It was like the idea was do the classic startup thing: raise money, lose money, raise more money, build a brand, sell it out. Diageo buys it. Everyone's laughing. And then we started the business and actually got into it, and it was like, we don't want to do that. Why would we do that? We love what we're doing. There's an opportunity here to like properly learn some stuff. I'm like very like frustratingly principled when it comes to the finance side of things. Like, I've always wanted to make a properly sustainable, like self-sustainable business, and something that's profitable. I think for me, like, it's a real sense of pride there, and I think it's still doable in this world. So we didn't follow that script at all, and we are like not following it now. I think we just want to build a business that we love to be part of.
Yeah.
We want to take it as far as we can. The moment we start doing really badly with it, or like it should be in someone else's hands, I think we'll definitely consider it. And obviously we're always open to like what comes, but we definitely see like years and years of growth and opportunity for us as a business. So we want to take it for as long as we can.
And if you if like kids are on the cards or whatever in the future, like, you'll definitely be the very cool dad or the cool uncle or whatever, or the cool godfather. You'll be like, that's kind of cool because you can come to my house because I'm gonna have all the beers, all the bevs, all the different types of alcohols.
It's a nice industry to be part of. Definitely.
And what kind of motivates you in as a founder? I think like you're the go-to for so much until you step away as like a day-to-day figure in the business. When times get really tough, what keeps you really motivated?
I think I'm so committed to what we're doing and the team we have now. As it gets bigger, like, there's more reason to stay engaged. It gets more exciting. I love the challenge of like what we do every day. So like, no matter how stressful it gets, I think there's always a learn there, and like, this is what I've always wanted to do. So if I was to run away from this to go start another business, I think will be my next thing if I believe this. And I don't see like right now how I would find an opportunity better than I have now to keep growing and learning.
Yeah. And with I've got a question actually I just thought of in terms of like marketing and activation, like later on, and how you kind of throughout how you activate, because I think so much of alcohol is branded in like a fun, let's go out, let's go drinking kind of way. And you also have non-alc stuff as well, right?
Yeah.
So like, how do you work between the non-alc and the alc kind of side of things, and then how do you like market that in sense of what are your marketing activations? Because I can see you guys, like, you've obviously got your gorgeous bar like in Rixo. I could see so many more of them across London, and making like the Black Lines like a bit of a go-to.
Yeah, I think we're like working towards a future where maybe activations and sessions are a bit more regular for us. Activations we've always found difficult. Like, as a brand that doesn't have loads of money, activations can be just really resource heavy.
Yeah, so resource heavy.
So the way we do activate is with partners that really understand what we do and where we're going to add value. We always have this notion that we want to add value, whether it's from like a liquid perspective, a brand perspective. We want to be a brand that really supports their partners. The National Theatre, I think, for us has been a really lovely opportunity where we started working with them last year, and we now do like all the theatre bars, the main bar, like every cocktail really in the National Theatre now is one of ours. And as a result, we've just built a great relationship with them. We want to really help them build the right menus and approach. And they basically had this container on the South Bank, and they just like sort of gave it to us to brand. So like, as part of the biggest process there, like, we've then got for the whole summer this lovely branded Black Lines bar on the South Bank, like visited by so many people. That supports the team there, and like gives them a really hopefully exciting kind of focal point for their offer, and allows us to suddenly be activated without like just randomly paying for a picture at a festival or throwing lots of cash at an opportunity that all brands are looking at.
And with those activations, I think they're great because it gives you like a touch point to the customer to come and have an experience and then want to go buy online, right?
Yeah.
What if like a buyer of Tesco came up to the bar on the South Bank and said, I want to list like your margarita in every single one of our stores? Is that something you guys are looking towards to do as well?
It's a really difficult story, like the big retail piece, supermarkets. Not at the minute. It's not really like for us. I don't think. One, I think the brand's not like rich enough yet to be like really like pulled off stores off shelves really readily. And two, our whole ethos has been about working with great independent partners or great venue partners that and retailers that kind of understand what we do in real detail, and we're not there just to be a kind of volume move.
Okay.
And I think there's plenty for us to do. So for now, like supermarkets are not on the cards. I think maybe there's an approach to that in a few years' time, and it might change for sure. But we've got like, you know, great retailers, and there's still lots of volume to be had in those spaces. And with, you know, we work with like Selfridges, Whole Foods, Fenwick. We've got probably 100 bottle shops. We've got deli online. Those are the places where we want to go and like pitch ourselves.
Yeah, and I also think as you grow bigger, and if you did go into like a Tesco or a Sainsbury's or whatever it is, you might be at risk of losing your independent partners. So like National Theatre might turn around and go, do you know what?
Yeah.
We want to work with brands that are slightly smaller and don't have that mass reach. And that's something you've also spent so long working towards. So it's a really hard one to like grow, but like not lose those, those partnerships. So it's actually something, it's a bigger piece to think about versus just, we want the growth, but actually like what are you losing in the meantime?
100%.
And if Black Lines disappeared tomorrow, what part of it would you be most proud of?
I think like for me, and this is so boring, but like for me, having built something that has actually like looked after itself and has grown organically for so long, I think it's something I'm really proud of. I think the team that we've got as well, I'd be really sad to like not be in the office or in the factory. I'd be really proud. I'm super proud of the team we've got around us. I think like we're in an environment, and we spoke earlier about like, you know, maybe people who aren't founders might not feel as wedded to the business. I don't feel like for us that's the case. I feel like we've got a team that like
that's amazing.
I'm really excited about what they're all involved. We're all involved in it together. You might find a different answer when you speak to them, but that's the sense I get. I love the team we've got.
Yeah, I think also that will really trickle down. So I'm sure if I did ask them the question, it would not be the case. I'm sure that if you're as obsessed with them as they are, like that kind of is a very like mutually respected like generally kind of like relationship when you've got that to say about your employees. And also then you want to work hard for them, and vice versa. Like you want to make sure that they're getting everything they need, and then they want to make like you proud. That's certainly how I feel. And looking like where do you see the business in like 10-15 years?
I think we want to keep doing what we're doing. I guess in 10-15 years, like we would hope to be like properly leading cocktails, and we'd hope cocktails will be like in a very different place maybe than what it is now. I think pre-batch cocktails for us, like we feel like should be the answer in loads of environments, and hopefully like what we do can be the solution for that. We would love to be looking a bit, I guess, outside of just drinks as well, not to like be launching other products and brands and things, but I think we want to become a bigger brand. We want to have a story that's bigger than just we make bottled cocktails and we make draft cocktails. We're working really hard at the minute to kind of like really understand like what we can be and how we can add the most value. But let's see where we go.
And what would you say is like one of your biggest goals with the business? So would it be, for example, I know we're in like a world where once we get that goal, we always want the next thing. But if there was like one North Star that you could say, I've sort of made it if I get that, is there anything that kind of resonates with that?
Yeah, there's one.
Okay.
And it's like so not like sexy. It's not going to take us very far.
Yeah.
But our factory is a 10-minute walk from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Right.
I'm a lifelong Spurs fan.
Okay.
We've got Wembley, we're in the Emirates, Crystal Palace, working with City, Man City up north, and I just can't get anything to Tottenham Hotspur.
Okay, so if they're listening, anyone, Tottenham Hotspur, anyone knows anyone.
I could literally walk the kegs round on a trolley to the delivery gate. For me, like that's the team will know, like that's the moment I'll continue to work my socks off for, because I'll be happy. I don't mind. Like the business go anywhere.
That's it. I don't care about the rest. I just want to be in there.
I just need.
You need to go organise like a flash mob.
I'm trying everything.
Try to get the attention, or you just run on naked onto the pitch and stop the whole game.
Those are the two things I haven't actually done.
No, I think you should do those two things.
I'm doing all like my traditional like sales things, but
you got to think outside the box. If they're not listening to you, get naked, run across the pitch with like loads of bottles, like really get someone's attention, or a flash mob.
Okay, well maybe you can help me like plan that.
Yeah, for sure, we'll plan it. Next steps.
I'm not that good at flash mobs, but I'm sure I could do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like a ruler when it comes to dancing, so I'm not your gal for that, but I'll help with the creative sales idea. I love putting like the kind of creative side of me into a sales pitch.
Yeah.
And thinking outside the box.
That's definitely the North Star.
Yeah, that's cool. So, little bit of a kind of quick fire to end the interview. First cocktail you ever loved?
I think I was like a really tacky little drinker when I was younger. It was probably like a Long Island iced tea because I thought it was so jokes that it was so strong.
Yeah.
Not my favourite anymore.
Yeah, what is your favourite now?
Negroni.
That
one.
Yeah, okay. My boyfriend's obsessed with Negroni, so he'll love that.
I really like that one, yeah.
A brand not in drinks that you admire?
I really like brands in fashion. I'm not like a high fashion like follower or anything, but I think that middle ground in fashion I find really interesting. And there's a brand from the Netherlands that I've just been following for a little bit called Bram's Fruit that are like fully random. And people don't really know them yet, but I'm sure they're going to get really big. They've just got. I love brands that have like a really interesting mindset.
Yeah.
And like everything they do is just a little bit like kind of subversive and different. And it's what I'm keeping an eye on.
And finish this sentence.
Ooh.
Cocktail culture. Cocktail culture to me means.
I find it so jokes. I think it's so cool that you can drink like something. I love beers. I love wine. Sorry, this is not a good sentence finisher, but I just love that like. There's so much variety in cocktails, and you can do so much with them. You were right earlier when you said it can like be the start of the night, the end of the night. I'd love to like start the evening with a Hugo Spritz and finish after dinner with a Negroni and then have an espresso martini. And I love the variety of it all, and like it gives you like proper autonomy rather than picking between 8 different beers on the bar or 3 different glasses of white wine. I love all of it, but I think for me cocktails have that piece of like real excitement and difference. You're
definitely right on like the vibes piece, I think, as well. Like cocktails bring a different vibe. Like when you're drinking a cocktail versus a glass of wine, like you feel quite sophisticated. You're like, wine. Whereas like a cocktail, you kind of turn your fun on a bit.
Yeah, it's indulgent. And I think it should be like, people should feel like they're allowed to go and like be indulgent when they have a cocktail. That's the idea of it. It's not, your steady Eddie sort of moment.
Definitely. Thank you so much for coming on, Getting to Go. It's been so interesting hearing about it, and I need to pop down again to the Rixo bar because I did love it in there. It's just like such cool vibes. So
yeah, we'll have to have you in Tottenham. You come see the facility. We've got 10 cocktails on tap in Tottenham. So.
Oh my gosh, sold. Yeah. I'll do that for
Amazing.
Sure. And then we'll work on the flash mob.
Yes.
Yes,
we'll get it all
of course,
done together.
of course.
Amazing.
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem at all. It's been a pleasure.